The year was 1974. In February of this year, this is really awkward. In February of this year, the movie Blazing Saddles would premiere. We would see Hammer and Hank tie the Bambino on April 4th opening day, and 4 days later, hit number 750 in Atlanta. Later that same month, on the 24th, while sitting at my abuela's house after school getting something to eat, they break into regular programming at Big 13, so Andy Hardy could tell us that the NFL has awarded Tampa a new expansion franchise. 3 songs were hot that summer. See how many of you remember these songs. Tell Me Something Good. Tell Me Something Good by Rufus and Chaka Khan. And how about I Shot the Sheriff, but I did not shoot the deputy by Eric Clapton. And then a song that became famous because Eddie Diaz sang this every week to us. Keep on smiling through the rain. Okay, we'll get to that later. But we knew we were on to something special this year. It was going to be a special year in 1974. Well, it didn't exactly start out the way that I had planned. You see, after much anticipation and a preseason that saw me working on becoming a switch hitter for the first time, on opening night, a wonderful opening night at West Tampa Senior League, on a play that haunts me to this day, I broke my ankle sliding into second base trying to break up a double play. It was against Letary and Sons, the Giants, Coach Barcelo's team, and I'll let Eddie Diaz tell you the rest of that story because, to be honest with you, it's too painful for me to remember in these days. I was devastated, to say the least. I missed about 6 weeks of the season, and I really thought all hopes of making the All-Stars was gone. After all, this was West Tampa, a little league a cut above most of the rest of Tampa at the time. Oh, you had Riverside Little League in the 60s with the likes of Jimmy Green and Randy Canal. Later in the 70s, there was Chris Ayers. And North Seminole gave us Joe Abidi and the Kent brothers, Cecil and David. Drew Park previewed Steve Garvey, and Tampa Bay had the likes of Kurt Suchin and later Harry Lynn. But we're talking about West Tampa, training ground for the likes of Nandi Contreras, John Tomargo, John Big Train Tagnerino, and Ricky the Cat Alfonso. To make the All-Stars here was a very special achievement indeed. And how lucky were we to grow up at a time when Tampa was small, safe, and full of kids. And not just regular kids, but kids who came from great homes, with amazing parents and loving grandparents. And dads who really knew the game of baseball and passed that on to us. And moms who always made sure that we had a clean uniform and still had time to work the concession stand. This was West Tampa, where on any given Saturday, every ball field was packed with fans, school classmates, newspaper reporters, girlfriends, and familia. This was West Tampa, and where else but West Tampa would you hear the cheer, "Ese mijo," after someone made a great play? Or where else but West Tampa would you learn about the urban legend named Conejo and where he came from? Whether he was howling at the moon at McFarland Park after dark, or yelling through the fence at no one in particular. And where but West Tampa would you learn to play the game of baseball with a competitive spirit, a skill level, and a sense of pride like nowhere else in town? I'd always heard about West Tampa, even coming over a few times to watch some games, but my little league district was Tampa Bay. So it wasn't until senior league that I got a chance to play under the lights and with all that great competition all around. I think I handled myself pretty well, but I had no idea if I would make the All-Star team in 1974. So when George Ramirez called to tell me that I had made the team, I was shocked. Truly, I was. From our earliest workouts, George, Manu, and Joe put us through our paces. To the start of the tournament, right at the start of the tournament, I knew we had something special. This was a good group of guys, a fun mix of personalities, and a dedicated group of young peloteros. From winning the District 6 title against Rod Caraway's Northwest team, to traveling to Fernandina Beach to compete for the state championship, we showed a resilience that would see us ultimately play in the Southern Regional Finals. We won in all sorts of ways, mostly coming from behind in the late innings, in great part because we hated to lose, but a little bit because we didn't want to face the wrath of Coach Barcelo. Mostly, we didn't want to disappoint him, or Coach Iglesias. They were two great coaches who believed in us and taught us to believe in ourselves. That game we played in Fernandina Beach against the host team with their all-world shortstop and pitcher Robert Godwin to win the bi-state championship, to then earn the right to play Carroll City, still resonates with me 40 years later. Listen to this. We were literally down to our last strike after Marcelo Cabot flew out and Eddie Diaz grounded out in short order The count went quickly to 0-2 to Frank Campisi. He drew an improbable walk. Joey Licata followed, and the count quickly was 0-2 to him as well. And unbelievably, he walked. Well, with speed and the tying and winning runs aboard, up steps Michael Ciccarello. All I remember was that I was praying as hard as I'd ever prayed in my life. Michael delivered with a linea just out of the reach of Robert Godwin at short, and on the wet ground it skips past the left fielder. And here comes the tying run, and here comes the winning run. And the party was on. I remember lawn chairs going over the fence. I remember kids crying. I remember everybody yelling, "Yes, mijo!" And I remember to this day, and I learned the lessons this day, what I learned on that magical night. And now, in the famous words of the late Jimmy Valvano, never give up, never ever give up. We went on to avenge the previous year's loss to Carroll City out of Miami to win the state title. From there, this is great. From there, it was a drive home in the backseat of Bill Beakley's mom's car. No air conditioning, and all the windows down. Did I tell you we had great parents? Bill's mom, Mary, was there for all her boys, and all of us were her boys. Now it's off to Atlanta. Eastern Airlines, Whisper Jet service. For the first time in my life, I imagined what it felt like to be a pro player. I mean, come on. Taking a flight, being served a meal, flirting with the flight attendants, and then getting there and playing ball. This was pretty good stuff for a 15-year-old from Tampa. Allow me to say that while doing my research for this, I realized that the majority of my teammates, Manny Iglesias, Mike Ciccarello, Eddie Diaz, Randy Castro, J.P. Morgan, Frankie Campisi, Bill Beakley, had all been experiencing this sort of phenomenon since they were 10 and 11 years old. This was all new to me. So, we would go on next, some of these guys would go on to play in the World Series next year, like Art Espinosa and Albert Rodriguez, Mike Ciccarello, Frankie Yurchek, and Randy Martinez. Did I mention we had some pretty good peloteros at West Tampa? Well, in Atlanta, we got to meet our host for the next 10 days. A gentleman by the name of Charles Beefy Eves. You know, he was a graduate of the University of Georgia and the captain of the Georgia Bulldogs football team in 1945. He was the superintendent of the City of Elberton Recreation Department and Little League District Director. He was the founder and director of Camp Harmony in Elbert County. Camp Harmony. A place where we would enjoy our daily breakfast and a chance to create more mischief and memories than a state championship team should ever be allowed to. Particulars upon request, names withheld to protect the innocent. We would play our hearts out for the next week plus. We would survive rain delays and sore arms. We would meet guys from Weatherford, Texas and Sterling Park, Virginia. The end of this wonderful ride came at the hands of a bigger, stronger, if not better team from Charlotte, North Carolina. We took them to task, ultimately losing to them twice before a long unair-conditioned bus ride back to the Atlanta airport. As I close, let me say thank you for indulging me, first of all, with this rather long story. But thank you for indulging me. Let me say thank you to Mom and Dad who are here today for your love, your patience, and the ultimate gift a parent can give a child, which is support. From the time you bought me my first glove at Florida Sporting Goods downtown, shout out to Gene Brito and Bill Hernandez, to today, you've always been in my corner, and I love you for it. Let me say thank you to George Barcelo, Emmanuel Iglesias, and Joe Iglesias for having the faith in me and selecting me to this outstanding team, for taking me and my game to a whole new level. And lastly, let me say thank you to my pals, to my high school buddies, and my lifelong friends. Here we go. For sharing this memorable experience of my baseball life. It was great to be a part of it, and it's great to be a Tampa native. Salute and happy days. I love you, and thanks for being here today. It means a lot.
Thank you.
So, Joe, if you'd like to come up and say a few words. This is Joe Abini, everybody, Tampa native. An amazing baseball player in his own right, signed out of Hillsborough High School, class of '66, to play in the major leagues, and if it weren't but for a freak off-season accident that cost him his left eye, I always have to ask, he would have probably made it to the majors as well. Joe, we love you. Come say hello.
I'm glad you came out to celebrate this unique accomplishment that
74 and 75 team we did for West Tampa. My experience with West Tampa in the years of playing baseball, when I started, it was North Seminole Little League. I was a member of the 61 and 62 state champions also from North Seminole Little League in Tampa. But most importantly, in 1962, the first year that West Tampa became franchised as a Little League part of the organization. And in 1962, West Tampa played for the district championship against North Seminole Little League in a really well-played game the first year out of the box. They had been there 1 year with maybe 2 teams in West Tampa. They put an all-star team together of young men that are still playing some baseball today that played us for the district championship. They weren't successful, but I'm telling you, West Tampa became a dynasty from that point on and has continued it for many, many years until it became a Belmont Heights Little League. Didn't have juniors and seniors in big league. Back in the day, we played Little League, we played Pony League, we played Colt League. And all those guys kept all the way through those leagues to Plant, Jefferson, Hillsborough, King. We all played in Legion Ball, Post 5. I just want to tell you, this is the most important thing. In 1967, we were state champions at Hillsborough High School. And we still, to this day, communicate regularly, meet regularly, and it's just something you'll never forget. So be very proud of your relationship, because baseball in Tampa is nothing better. So congratulations to the 74 and 75 team, and many more years together.
Very nice.
Thanks for everybody coming, first of all. I'm in Orlando now, so I've kind of lost some of my Tampa roots, but I've stayed in contact, and thankfully through Mario and Belinda, I kind of got invited to this, and my heart has always still been in Tampa. And when my kids got older, I took them by the old ballpark to see what, even though we were living in Lakeland, what it was like, the old ballpark. And that ballpark had a lot of great memories for all of us. I mean, we were there, sun up to sundown. If our parents didn't know where we were at, they'd probably go by the ballpark, and we were there and playing handball and cup ball and everything else we could do. But it was great memories, and I have special thanks to Mara and Belinda for putting this on. But my special thanks is to George and to Gloria, because George spent a lot of time investing in all of us. There was probably 5 or 6 of us from that Letarian Sun team, more than that, maybe 7 or 8 over the 74-75 team that ended up getting to play All-Stars. And as a 13, 14, 15-year-old, I really didn't appreciate the things he was teaching on the field and off the field. He was teaching discipline, teamwork, and responsibility, and hard work, and laying the groundwork for us to be successful in life. And that was really a special thing. I also didn't understand how much baseball he knew, to be very honest. As I got older, I got to coach all the way from 6-year-olds to college, and I coached 2 years of high school and 2 years of college, and that was a blast. But the same things that George taught me 30 years prior, I was teaching those kids in college, and I realized how much baseball really George had taught us and learned. So again, and Gloria, I understand, because my wife was a wife of a coach too, and there were a lot of nights where George wasn't home, he was with us, and he was chasing us because he didn't know where the heck we were doing, what we were doing, and so I thank you. But again, great memories over the years with you guys. It's great to see you again. I'm thankful that Mario has put this together, and I hope again that next year maybe we can do this with a 75 and 74 team combined. So thanks.
Thank you.
I have 2 stories. One is on the field, one is kind of off the field. As you all know, I played for George for 3 years. He drafted me right out of the majors into his team. And many hours of practice with him. Had a lot of what I call 2-way conversations with him. He told me what to do, and I did it. That was a 2-way conversation with George. There was no talking back to him. But I remember being up in Fernandina Beach, and Mr. Iglesias comes and tells me, Eddie, George says, get in your room and rest, you pitching tonight. And I'm thinking to myself, pitching tonight? We were playing against Carroll City. I said, whatever, you know. I said, one thing I was upset, I said, George was out of town, so I figured I could get away with a lot of stuff and not get in a lot of trouble. And now I have to go in the room. So I said, all right, I'll go in the room and sit down and wait for the game tonight. So we did. We got to the game, and I'm pitching, and this game went, I think it was 10 innings, if I'm correct. Top of the 10th inning, I'm pitching, and I got nothing left in my arm. My arm is shot to death. And since I did play for him, and I know that he calls all the pitches from the dugout, before Bill Beakley, great catcher over there, called the pitches, I knew more or less what I had to throw. So I'm looking at the dugout, and he's got that fist like this, and my heart is telling me I got nothing on the fastball. I might as well throw it underhand. So I shook him off. I see him over there. His jaw's getting stiff now. You know, just like that. He's looking at that. He's not even looking at Bill Beakley anymore. He's just staring at me down. So he calls timeout, comes out to the mound. We had another one of those two-way conversations. Throw a fastball, and he walks away. I'm sitting there saying, God, I had never in my life asked you to let me get a hit, throw somebody out, make a catch, do anything. I left all the asking to God for something more important than that. I said, I never asked you this, but I'm going to ask you this one time in my life. If this curve I'm about to throw is not a strike, please make me disappear. Luckily, I threw it. It was a strike, and everybody at the stands, I could see them screaming and hollering and being happy, and George screaming and howling because I didn't throw the fastball. But I was George, and I knew what I was doing when I did it. I just, you know, I'll tell you, for 3 years, whatever he asked me to do, I believed in him. He spent ungodly amount of hours with me, and I love him for that. You know, when it was happening, I didn't love him because I didn't know what I was going through. But once I figure out what happened and, you know, what happened with me, I was really, really proud of him and what he's done for me. The other story is a little bit off the field kind of a thing. Well, Mario and Betico and myself used to sneak out the room every night and sometimes get in trouble. And I really don't know why I got in trouble this one day, but George almost turned me into a criminal. Because my punishment for whatever I did wrong was to go to the room with Belinda, Gloria, and the rest of his girls. I said, if this is what being bad is, I'm going to be bad the rest of my life. I just couldn't believe that. I said, get in my room. I was like, really? And that's it. I said, I'm not staying in the room with you guys. I'm doing whatever I need to do to get back in the room. Anyway, that was part of the team. I really do thank Mr. Iglesias and George, obviously, from the bottom of my heart. I love being in this team. I gave everything I had, every inning that I ever played. I never wanted to let him down for all the hours that he spent with me. And whatever he asked me to do, I didn't care whether I thought I could do it or not. If he thought I could do it, I went and did it. You know, I tried anyways. So there's other people that we said thanks a lot to George and Mr. Iglesias over there because of all the time they spent with us. But there's two ladies over there that probably spent a lot of countless hours waiting for dinner late and waiting for them to get home and stuff like that. Miss Marcelo, Miss Iglesias, thank you very much for everything you did. Okay, it means a lot. I coach Little League now, so I know what that's like. Getting home late and everything has been fantastic. And this one other young lady that has always been part of this team, even though she never played. And always, at everything that we do, is part of it, helps, I'm sure, or whatever she can. That's Belinda. Belinda, thank you very much. To all the parents that went out there, thank you very much from the bottom of my heart. Because you guys, if it was 3 parents there, you happen to have 14 kids because you took care of all of us, no matter what it was. And that was just fantastic. Thank you all. Thank you for letting me be part of the team. And as far as mine breaking this leg, I threw him out of third base.
He did.
That was very, very good. And then he's right. After I crashed into second base, trying to take out the second baseman and hit that Hollywood base. I bounced off the base and I said, okay, that wasn't good. What just happened to me was not good. And I looked and the ball's going into right field. I'm thinking, that's even worse, because now I got to get up and I got to go to third. So I get up and the backstory is I was sick all week with a bad stomach flu, and I was sick, and I begged my mom. I said, Mom, this is opening night at West Tampa. This place is going to be crazy. Tony Press going to throw out the first pitch. This is going to be nuts. I can't miss this. I'm 50. This is my last year there. Okay, baby. So I went sick. I wasn't right, and I had the jacket on. It was cold. It was a cold March night. I smashed my ankle into the bag. I break my ankle. I get up. As the ball's in the right field, I go, geez, I got to run to third now. I turned and I ran with everything I had. I looked like Chester from Gunsmoke. I'm running like this. And I got about halfway there and I stopped. Because I was in tremendous pain. And I stopped. And the ball came into home because they figured I was going to be at third. The ball came in home. And I looked. Eddie? I'm halfway between third and second and third. And I look at Eddie. And Eddie looks at me like, Mario, if you're going to stand there, I'm going to throw you out. And he threw the third, and I stood there. The third baseman came over and tagged me out. And then my father had to come carry me off the field because I literally couldn't walk. But we laugh about that to this day because I remember the look on his face, Mario, what are you doing standing there? I'm going to throw you out.
No, I just, being here brings back memories of my mother and all, you guys know what a great lady she was, but how we were treated by all the parents, and I just feel so blessed to have grown up in West Tampa. And my good friend Eddie, I was one of the few at West Tampa that could not speak Spanish. Eddie could not speak English. It was always a bond.
And you both caught.
And we both caught, but it was always a great, because we were always competing for the catching job. And all of the players in here know that I couldn't throw the ball to save my life. Coach Iglesias told me that I threw doubles from behind the plate. Center field. And what I do remember that stands out, and I will never forget, is Mr. Barcelo, Coach Barcelo, got Eddie and pulled me aside. Now, I don't even play for his team. And he's trying to help me get over this hurdle that I had about trying to throw runners out at second base. And he would say, well, no, you got to do this. And then he would have Eddie demonstrate. Eddie was like, had a cannon from back there. But, and that's the way he was. He didn't care that I was on the other team. He wanted to try to help me become a better player. And I remember trying to do what he asked me to do, and I saw the job. I saw the job. But, it is, as the gentleman said before, this is such a good thing. And Mario, thank you for putting this together.
Sure.
Thank you, coaches, for being here, and everybody. I feel really, J.P. Morgan and myself were the few that were not of Hispanic descent, but, you never felt out of, you people made us feel like one of the family there. Randy Martinez's grandparents would bring me quarters for every hit that I got after the game since I was a little kid. And, it's just a great thing to be here. I thank you guys for having this. The things that we're talking about today brought this back. Years ago, when we went into this All-Star game, I've gone over my woes at throwing from behind the plate. So when we got to the All-Star team selection, Coach Barcelo goes, go out and get a glove. You're going to play third base. I'd never played third base in my life, but this one particular game, and Craig McGraw's not here, but him and I always had a competitive thing going on. And when Craig got on first base, I knew he was getting the steal signal because Craig could run fast and boom, boom, boom. And he picked me off at second one time, and we would always say, we were good friends, but we were always very competitive. And Craig was pitching in this All-Star game. It was one of the very first games, and he had a really good game going shutout, something like that. And I'm playing third base, and the guy hit a flare off the end of his bat, and it's over my head. And I really didn't think. I turned and I started to run, and in my own head, I'm thinking, no way I'm going to get to this ball. And I hear from the dugout, don't you quit! And it scared me, and it took 3 more hard steps. My glove went out in the air, and the ball fell in my glove. And so it must have looked like a great play, but I had no idea what I did. What I did was listen to him and say, "Don't quit." And I stuck my glove out, and the ball landed there. I get up, and Craig, who I competed with, was like, "Yeah!" And all these years, I took credit for making that catch, in my own head, when I knew really. I said, how did he know I was going to quit? Because, I was running. In my mind, I had quit, and then I hear that from the dugout. And the glove went out, the ball fell in it, and completely, his words or what made me take those extra steps. And for years, I had, oh yeah, I made a great play. I had quit until I heard him. I had to get that out.
I'd like to thank all of you for coming, and we've had a wonderful group. I picked up that particular year that we won. I picked up the year before. I picked up, I think it was 3 or 4 13-year-olds. So the year before, I had a hard time because I had a lot of teeny little kids playing with boys who were 15 years old, and it's hard to compete between 13 and 15. But we did a lot of work, and they worked hard, and they were good kids. And Frankie, I don't know if you remember those little books that I handed out.
Absolutely.
I had made up a little book of what do you throw relays, or what do you do in certain situations, and it was about 5 or 6 pages. No, more than 5 or 6 pages. It was about 20 pages long.
It was a playbook. It was a playbook.
And we let it know the next time we had to practice.
Yeah, I gave it to all the kids, and I said, "Here, learn this. This is your Bible. Learn it." I said, because we're going to test you on it. And I don't know if you remember on rainy days, what we did on rainy days. Anytime it rained, the other teams in practice, well, we met. We used to meet upstairs. And I had a little easel that I had made, a plywood board with a piece of felt on it, with a diamond drawn on it, certain situations on it, like nobody out, one person, 2 outs, and a certain inning, and what do you do? And we go over it, and I had little dials that I had cut and put a little bit of Velcro in the back. So I used to set the team up, and I used to say, okay, we're in the 3rd inning, there's nobody out, we got a man on second, there's a base hit. I had a little one that had an X on it, which was a baseball. So this ball's hit here, possible short double, possible triple. What do you do? I used to tell any little boys, come on up, place it. So they had to go in there and place every single position as to where you go, who backs up who, where the throw goes, and what you do. And so we wasted no time. And the boys were really into it, I thought. But,
We were.
yeah,
I think the proof is in the pudding.
And we had a really good time. And there were a good bunch of kids. When I was a young man in Eagle City, playing ball at Cascade Park, just started playing ball, I think about 8 years old. I played from 8 till probably about 38, till I started popping things. And there was a gentleman that was the park director in Cascade Park. His name was Andrews Molina. This man had coached before. He coached in Nicaragua, he coached professional ball, and he knew a lot of baseball. That man turned out and developed more ball players because he would spend the time telling us what to do, when to do it, how to make a tag, what you do in certain situations, how to slide, everything about baseball. And as a kid, I guess I grew up in it, and then I said, well, the day that my turn came to do a little bit of coaching, I started remembering the things, and I said, that's a good way to approach things, is to tell these people what to do, when to do it, how to do it, and show them. So that's what I tried doing all my life. And I was fortunate I had a bunch of good kids, and like Bill said, I didn't care who it was. If you wanted to listen to me and I could help you a little bit, I wanted to help you. And people would tell me, well, how could you coach, the parents? Parents are always so demanding and this and that. And they used to tell them, I don't have any problems with the parents. For one thing, I don't pay any attention to them. Because the kids are my responsibility when they're on the field. And what I did, I wanted to do for the kids. I didn't care about the parents. Every parent is going to complain about something. I don't care who it is. So I never cared about that. All I cared was about the boys that I had and what I could pass along. And I tell you what, I learned more baseball trying to coach than I did in all the years that I played. And I played through the university on it. Because back at the time that I played, people were you were either good or you were mediocre or you were just plain bad. Nobody knew what you really had to do. Nobody knew the mechanics. Nobody knew what you had to do, when you had to do it, how you had to do it. And that's what I was interested in. I said, man, I don't want you to know how to go down for a ball. I want you to know why you go down this way, why you do this, why you do that. I want you to understand the why in baseball. And that's when I said, man, how the hell am I going to teach this? I had to stop and think at home and say, well, this is the easiest way and this is the best way to present it so that everybody understands it. And it turned out that the more I got into it, the more I learned, the more I passed on, and I was happy. And I hope you guys were happy.
Very much so.
But there was a couple of little situations, too, that I wanted to tell you about. Who was it, Mario? You said you were in the room with Eddie Diaz and Albert.
And Frankie Yurchek. Quite a foursome.
There was a little situation which I'll never forget. We were at Alberton.
Mm-hmm.
No, we were at Fernandina Beach. And I happened to go into the room and I was talking to the boys because I think one of the chandeliers or something had gotten damaged.
Post-game celebration.
And I don't know if I should say this or not, but Albert's mom comes to the door. And she's walking into the door, and at the same time she opened the door, Albert and the guys in the room were having some kind of a discussion. And Albert does like this to one of the guys, throws a bird. Man, the mother walked in and says, "Al pendico. ¿Qué es eso? What is that?" And Albert says, "Mama, that's a bird." I thought it was the funniest thing because of the expression, the way that they transpired. Mama, es un pájaro, mama. But then another thing, I want to thank you guys too because you were a good, well-behaved group of boys. As a matter of fact, Manuel, did they not send us a letter? Yes, they did. They sent us a letter telling how well-behaved group of young men we were. And because every time y'all went somewhere, I made sure that you said thank you.
Yes.
I appreciate that.
Yes.
That. So it was, we pulled them off.
Yeah.
We really did.
Yeah, we did.
But, of course, then you were behaved too because I remember telling you distinctly that I don't care who in the hell you are, if you do something, you're gone. I'll pay the ticket, or the league will pay the ticket for you to go back to Tampa. So it was an understanding. We had a mutual understanding.
Sure.
Either you do what you do or you get out.
Or you won't be here to do it.
And that's one thing about me. I had a feeling about the things that I did, and I said, either you do it this way, or either you misbehave like that. I don't care who you are. You could have been the best ball player on the team. You were gone.
And we knew that.
And you were gone. And I think it made a difference.
Sure.
Because it made you, at least you knew where you stood. And you can make your decisions from there. And but it was a wonderful time. I wouldn't trade the time that I spent with all the kids. Because I was at the park, I think, for about 17 years. So I had a good time. I enjoyed it. I hope I passed something on worthwhile. The only kind of regrets that I had was when I coached the girls' team. That was an experience in itself. I have never coached anybody like that, especially the girls that were 13, 14, like 15. I've never had a girl go, I've never had this happen, like a girl go after a fly ball. And she's going, what are you doing? I was going to lose my hat. Head for your hat. Catch them off. I had a little girl that was playing third base, and I remember he used to throw first base like this sidearm. I used to tell her, honey, you can't throw sidearm like that because your ball's tailing on you, and it makes it very difficult. You've got to throw it like this. But I've always thrown like this over here. I said, but you can't throw. He says, but I don't know how to throw any other way. That's the only way I know. Throw however you want to throw. After coaching the girls, I think I quit. They cry for anything. But it was an experience. It was a lasting experience. I'll never forget that in my life. But anyway, I want to thank all of you and Manuel for helping me, because the year that we won, I think Manuel had another team, right, Manuel? I think I coached that year by myself because someone quit on me or something, and I had the team the whole year by myself. And then when we won, I asked Manuel to come with us, and Manuel came with us, and we teamed up pretty good. Manuel knows his stuff, and Manuel was good with the kids, and
Makes a difference.
we had a good time. But anyway, thanks all of you for putting up with us, and I wish we could do it all over again. I really enjoyed it.
This is Art Espinosa, everybody. First off, I just want to say thank you, Mario, and Belinda for putting this on.
Of course.
Really good. A lot of talk about the influence, George and Manuel had, and how we carry that. And I talking about that, I remember, I think I must have been like 12 or 13. But if you guys remember the American Senior Field, there was like a little bathroom building back there. Well, George used to put tape on the wall, and it was like a strike zone. And I remember he was working with someone else at the time, doing something else, and I was back there, and man, I'm pitching and I'm throwing balls and I'm hitting the strike zone like all the time, right? So I'm feeling good about myself. I'm getting pumped up like, man, look at me, I'm throwing strikes, and my buddy was with me and everything, and he's like, man, you're just like killing that thing. You're just throwing strikes all over the place. So George comes around and he sees, and I'm feeling pretty good about myself, got my chest all pumped out, and George goes, yeah, by the way, come and see me when you can hit that little box. There were two little boxes, the outside and the inside corner. When you can hit that like 8 or 9 out of 10 times, then come and see me. And I went from feeling really good to like, oh, I got a long way to go. But I have to say that he taught me so much about pitching. And even though I didn't play on his team in the seniors, he was always willing to work with me. He knew I was going to take that and use it against his own team, but it didn't matter. He worked with me. He taught me so much about pitching. As I went through, played high school, played junior college, all that, a lot of the things that other coaches told me, it was just all repetition. It was all stuff that George had basically already told me that I had been working on, and just had to kind of refine it. But I didn't learn. Nobody taught me more about pitching than George did. It was really great, and it was probably a big reason why I was even able to pitch in high school and college. So I really appreciate the time that you took to spend with a quiet kid who just wanted to be better. And even though I wasn't on your team, it didn't matter to you. You just worked with me and really helped me be the best that I could be. So I just want to say thank you, and again, thank everybody for being here. And the ballpark was really the heart and soul of the community. It really was. It was, there was no other place to be on a Saturday night but the West Tampa ballpark during that time. And you know, it was like just hanging out with a few hundred of your extended family.
Yeah.
So, you know, great memories of that time, and you know, this is really wonderful, and I do hope we can do it again next year.
Mario, thank you for doing this. I mean, it really was special, and it was great to be a part of it. But one of the things I want to thank you for is that I know that you made my dad very happy. One of the things that he is always talking about is all of you guys and the experiences that he had when he coached y'all. I mean, every time, Eddie, when we left your dad's funeral, the whole way home, all he talked about was everything you did at the baseball field, everything everybody did, all the stories. Dad's not much of an emotional person and doesn't show many warm feelings about certain memories and things, but when he talks about you guys and when he talks about the time he spent there at the baseball field, it really just brightens him up, and he can't stop talking about all the stories and the memories he has and how much he is so fond of y'all and proud of what y'all all did. He is proud of being part of that experience in your lives, and we're proud of him as Barcelo girls for having him and all those things he did there.